How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. We're excited to learn anything in the kitchen
Fair enough.
to get
Fair
us
enough.
through these times.
Well, welcome to my beautiful kitchen.
Thank you. Welcome to ours.
So we're going to go through basic tomato sauce and some Italian meatballs today.
Cool.
All right. Okay. So first things first, I got my pot on the stove and I'm preheating.
Okay.
Just kind of getting it going a little bit. And while that's warming up, I'm going to chop the onion. So I've got mine peeled already and cut in half.
I'm going to use the Instant Pot, and I've pre-turned it to saute.
Perfect.
Okay.
We're going to learn as we go with the Instant Pot versus stovetop here. So, so go ahead and peel all the skin off your onion there. All right. So now, when I cut an onion, I like to kind of, I don't know, can you see this?
Yeah.
Can you see this okay?
Yep.
All right. So I like to kind of take my knife and not the whole way across, but just almost there, like a little over 3/4. You want to kind of come in and work your way around it like a clock. Okay? So you're making a bit like a wedge, not straight up and down cuts.
Okay, I got you.
Okay?
Yeah.
And you're going to go all the way around. But on this back side here, it's still attached. Okay? So you haven't cut through on that side. And you're just going to slice down all the way, and it's going to come off in a nice little tiny dice there. And you take it all the way down to right kind of, there's just a little bit left here. And then I like to take that little end bit and just slice it up too. So you want to always move your blade. Don't try to force your blade downward. Start at the tip and just push it forward. So you're using the length of the knife to slice through, almost like you're sawing, but you're not going to bring it back. Okay? You're going to bring it all the way just forward. So you're using the length of the blade to cut and not just downward pressure. Okay?
Perfect.
All right. So our onion's all good. I'm going to splash some olive oil into our pot. It's probably in the neighborhood of about 1/4 cup should be fine. As long as you cover the bottom of the pot in oil, that's kind of what we're looking for. It's not necessarily a specific amount. And then, yes, you're going to slide your onions in there.
Go for it, bud.
I just went ahead and did it without telling you.
That's okay. We knew to ask.
That is what we're looking at. Okay?
Oh, that looks good. Ours looks similar.
Okay, so now we're going to take our garlic and chop it up. So I have 6 cloves of garlic. We're going to use half for this sauce, and we're going to use half for our meatballs.
Okay.
Okay, but we can chop the whole thing up right now and just do it all in one shot.
Oh, good.
So I like to take the clove.
Yep.
Take the flat side of my knife, rest it on top, and flatten it down with the side of the knife.
Oh, that's smart.
Just give it a couple of good taps. All right.
I said give it a couple of good taps.
Couple of taps. Okay. I only did one.
Well, one is good as long as it gets flat. So this is what you end up wanting to have. Just sort of a smashed up clove here. All good. If you get a whole clove in there, that's okay too.
Oh, my eyes, I'm blind.
All right. So I don't mind a little bit of larger size garlic in mine, but it's, yeah.
That works. There we go.
Good stuff. Yeah, that's excellent. Okay, and then you just use the knife, scrape it all back into a pile.
Yep.
Chop through again. So you just want to, what you're doing is you want to sweat the onions in the pot while you're kind of chopping up that garlic. Yeah?
There you go. Yeah.
No big bits left?
No, that's all very small.
Pretty good.
Cut half.
So use that.
Go ahead and put 1/2 of that right into your bowl for your meatballs.
I said just
okay.
For after, or leave on the board or whatever.
Mark,
right.
Can I put the garlic in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we can take our garlic and fat in the pot. And we can also, I'm adding dried oregano and chili flakes. Yeah, that's looking great in there. So I have a tablespoon of dried oregano, and I have about 1/4 teaspoon of chili flakes. And I'm adding that in. And then you're going to stir that in
There's no open.
in with your onions. So garlic isn't gonna take very long to get going here, okay? So once you kind of start smelling that garlic, we're gonna go ahead and add our tomatoes.
Let's go.
So I've got mine opened up already here. So I'm just gonna add them right in. We're using whole tomatoes in this one. I like the water content in the whole tomatoes, and I like the way the sauce cooks down when we're cooking that water out of there. Okay.
We ended up having diced, so is that okay?
All right. Diced is totally fine as well. I wouldn't necessarily use like a crushed or a pureed tomato for this sauce necessarily, but diced is totally as well.
Okay.
You don't want to have that lid in there. I did catch that.
Yeah.
So
that's why you're a chef and we are not.
I like to swirl a little bit of water around the can as well, just to kind of pick up the last little bits of tomato.
Okay.
And then that's all, and then just pour that right into the pot as well.
It smells really good.
It's smelling good?
Yes.
Nice. Excellent. I'm happy to hear that. Now, I cranked my heat up because I want to bring it up to a boil really quite quickly. So because I'm using whole tomatoes, I'm going to use a potato masher, and I'm going to mash my tomatoes into a nice small consistency, break them all up, and that's going to release the water. Really get them all broken up in there. Okay? All right. So I'll take you over for a quick little peek in the pot here. All right.
Okay, Mark.
So that's the sort of consistency that I'm looking at. And yeah, so we're going to bring that. I have it up on my high heat right there. I'm going to bring it up to a boil, and then I'm going to turn it down and let that simmer. We're going to just kind of forget about it on the back burner while we make our meatballs. So as that comes up to a boil, we can start getting our meatball ingredients organized here. You got a bowl there?
Yep, and
Nice.
it already has the.
It has your garlic?
Yes.
Excellent. To that, we're going to add, do you have your breadcrumbs?
We do.
Yes.
Okay, so in our recipe, we have the 3 cloves of garlic. I have about a 1/4 cup of breadcrumbs. I have 1 egg, which I will get a fork and just kind of mix up the egg a little bit, just to kind of break it up ahead of time. You got any shells in there?
Nope.
Excellent. So that can go in your bowl.
This goes in the bowl?
Yeah, you can add it right to the garlic there. All right.
And are we adding breadcrumbs yet or no?
Yep, you can dump the breadcrumbs in there. It's about a 1/4 cup. And then I found fresh parsley, so I'm going to add some fresh parsley in there. Again, it's probably about a 1/4 cup. Doesn't need to be perfect.
We don't have fresh
All right.
parsley, but we have dried. Do you want to put that, buddy? Do we want a 1/4 cup of dried?
Okay, so wait, no. So when you're going to substitute dried, you want to do quite a bit less. You can probably get away with like a tablespoon
There you go.
versus
Yeah,
a 1/4 cup. Okay.
We almost made a rookie mistake, I think.
Well, that's totally okay. It would have had a bit of a parsley-esque flavor to it.
Do we stir it?
Yeah, you can stir it.
You can use that fork.
And then I have in this dish, I've added my soy sauce, my fish sauce, and my Worcester all together, just so I can just dump it all in one shot.
And can you remind us how much of each to put?
Yeah.
So you're putting a teaspoon of soy, a teaspoon of Worcester, and half a teaspoon of fish sauce.
Okay.
If you don't have any of these things, totally fine. We can just roll without it.
We have all.
Or the sauce, really.
The sauce, yeah, you can stir it. Now, mine's come up to a boil here, so I'm just going to turn it down to a nice simmer. You don't want it too low because we are reducing it, but you don't want to boil it like really hard and vigorously for this whole time. We're just trying to reduce it nicely to like kind of a thick, rich sauce. And then I'm going to add a little bit of salt, probably about a teaspoon of salt should be fine. I'm just kind of putting mine in.
Okay.
All right. And today in mine, I'm actually adding some grated parm to mine as well. If you don't have parm, or you don't want parm, or you have any issues with cheese, please feel free to omit. I think you guys are omitting, yeah, Matt?
Yeah, we're gonna omit the cheese.
What? Oh yeah, I can't eat.
Yeah, you just need one of those. So 454 grams is 1 pound. So we're just doing a recipe for 1 pound of meatballs.
Okay.
It's totally fine to like double out or more your recipe, and this freezes really well as well. So
okay.
Yeah,
I could prep some.
All right, so you're gonna. Yeah, exactly. And then, then you can just have it on hand. You pull it out of the freezer and away you go. You can freeze the meatballs if you want. You can freeze the meatballs raw, or you can cook them all the way through. Or I like to do this whole, I like to freeze it in the sauce, because then you can just pull the whole sauce and meatball out of the freezer and away you go. All right.
Oh, so you stir it with your hands?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna. When we're making meatballs, we're gonna get in there with our hands and
good.
And
oh my
really
God!
What's that? Sorry.
It's so weird.
It's pretty weird, isn't it? Like I said, you can do this with on the recipe I have there posted is a mixture of half beef and half pork. You can do this with turkey. You can do it with chicken. You can do it with all beef, all pork. Depending on what you want or what you have available. I'm using an ice cream scoop to measure mine. You can just eyeball it and freehand it if you want to. It's entirely up to you. I think you guys have an ice cream scoop that we are trying out. I have parchment on my baking sheet. Maddie, you have a silicone mat. Yeah, that's great. Those are great. The big thing is just to kind of make sure that they are in a nicely compacted ball. Press them together into a nice meatball there. So you don't want them too loose. Like just you can kind of squeeze it a bit with your hand. And got our ovens preheating to nice and hot. So the oven should be nice and hot around 400. And that's because we're just going to sear the meatball. We only really want to kind of cook the outside. You can cook it you can pan fry them, like pan sear them if you want. But I like to just put them in the oven and kind of forget about them a little bit. We're going to add just going to pour a little bit of olive oil over them. It's because turkey and chicken don't have a lot of fat content. So I like to just kind of drizzle a little bit of oil over the top. It's not a lot. It's just kind of a little tiny splash over the meatball. And and then we'll tuck that in the oven. Yeah, there we go. Looks good.
And
do we set a timer? Because we have Alexa.
You can set a timer. Give it about 15 minutes.
Alexa, set a timer. 15 minutes.
Yeah, you don't want it boiling like really, really hard. You just kind of want it simmering away. Yeah, nice. I have my burner on halfway right now, medium. About like that is mine.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. So now we're going to have it's been about 15 minutes here. We're going to have a wee peek in the oven and see what we're looking at here. So mine are sizzling and looking pretty good. So mine are good. I'm going to throw them in the sauce. And as long as it's firmed up on the outside, that's what you're looking for. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the oven off.
As an amateur meatball guy, what would you classify as firmed up?
If you look at my screen, I can pinch it very lightly, and it kind of pushes back out.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, you can do it with a fork as well if you like. But as long as it's kind of it pushes back out, that's going to be fine. You can throw that in the sauce. So I'm going to go ahead and add all my meatballs to the sauce.
Okay.
And then stir them in nice and gentle. Because they are still only partially cooked, so you don't want them to break apart too much. So you want to stir them gently into the sauce.
Okay.
This would still be cooking. The meatballs about halfway through the cooking. So we still want that sauce to reduce down a little bit and become nice and thick and rich looking.
Okay.
So you should still have a nice simmer going.
So, let's say we're in a rush to eat. What is the soonest we could eat?
Yeah.
Would you say?
It's not going to take much long for that to cook. It's going to be about maybe 15 minutes or so once the meatballs are in there. You've taken them 400 degrees from the oven and put them into taken them 400 degrees from the oven and put them into the pot. It's at a simmer, so they're just going to carry right through. They're not a huge meatball, so it's really only going to take probably like 15 minutes more or so.
Okay. And
so yeah.
Would you recommend that after the 15-20 minutes I turn it onto like a low heat if I wasn't going to eat it until much later?
Well, if you're going to eat it tomorrow, then I would cool it off and put it in the fridge. But if it's going to be maybe an hour or two, like you're in an Instant Pot, so you can keep it on warm. I can keep on a very, very low simmer. It's not going to. It would be okay. You could also always transfer it if you have a slow cooker, and you want to kind of tuck it out of the way. Once that sauce is reduced down, you can throw it into the slow cooker, and then just kind of leave it to cook. So now that our sauce has finished, I am going to finish it with a little bit of basil, fresh basil.
Yep.
And I'm going to add a little salt, but then I'm going to check my seasoning. Sorry, what do you have?
I have dry basil. Should I put dry basil in?
Dry basil? Not a lot. Just, again, like maybe a couple teaspoons or so. Dry basil can be pretty strong, so just add a couple of teaspoons of dry basil to it, and if it does need more salt, you can add it. If you're not eating it today, I would not add your extra salt. I would let it kind of cool, pack it away, and then you can check your seasoning when you're going to use it.
It is spaghetti and meatballs night in our house.
Nice. All right.
All right.
Let me know how it turns out.
All right. See you later, bud.
Bye, everybody. Have fun time cooking.
Thank you, Mark. We're about to eat our dinner. You helped us learn how to cook.
I already tasted it. It's delicious.
Amazing. Here it is. Spaghetti and the meatballs. It looks good. Grazie mille, Mark.